Gary, in your book, you have said that the most dangerous thing we face is the area of the volitional errors that we can make, the issue of the will. What are you talking about?
The key with volitional doubt, this is the one that comes in the most varied forms. It could be the person with weak faith, the person who says, I'm really trying, but I don't get any stronger. It could be the person who says, I've lost my motivation. But the most serious varieties, what Os Guinness calls a time to warn, is the person, and unfortunately we all seem to know examples, of the person who's followed the Lord, sometimes for 20 years, 30 years, and you say they're an outstanding Christian, all of a sudden, little subtle things. They don't come to church. Ask them how they're doing. They haven't had devotions. And they start drifting. And they say something like this: the fire's gone out. When I came to Christ, I was excited. All my friends knew it. I talked differently. I spoke differently. But it's not there. And you know, I wonder if it's ever there. But here's the key. I don't care. Until the fire comes back, I'm not going to do anything else. Now notice the settled state from the I'm hurting, do something, I need to know he's there, to the person's kind of drifting. And I mean, by nature, I'm a person who's pretty laid back, and but if this is a time to warn, I need to set this friend down and say, I'm worried about you. Now, what's the key? To me, the key to emotional doubt is motivation. But you want to get it while it's early. It's like cancer. You want to get it while it's early. How do you motivate somebody who doesn't want to be motivated? Well, I want to start motivating them. To use a different analogy, I want to stir the embers in the fire. You know, your wife kind of gives you an elbow when the fire's going out and saying, stir it. Because if they get dark, they're unlikely to get going again. So you want to stir somebody up while they're still going through this. And the key to me, I'll tell you a quick little story. The key to me is finding some motivation that Scripture says. A fellow came to me one time and he said, I've lost it and I don't care, but I owe you a paper. What should I do for this course? I said, hey, why don't you do a paper on motivation for me? Now this guy was a religion student, and he knew Greek and Hebrew, and he ended up giving me a paper, and he said, here's what I've discovered. God has two motivations in Scripture. Positive motivation is called heaven. Negative motivation is called hell. He gave me appendices, Greek words, Hebrew words, and by doing the study, he got himself all fired up again. Now originally he said, hey, I'm living in sin, I don't even care. He did the study and it shook him up. And that gave me a hint. Ecclesiastes 3:11 says God has placed eternity in our hearts. That's for everybody. Hebrews 16:11 says God has shown believers a city whose builder and maker is God, and we long for that city. I think the key here is eternity. The very thing the emotional doubter craves with all their life, the volitional doubter is sometimes cool about. And I think we have to stir up the embers to make them long for eternity, and conversely to see what's at stake. Now if someone's sitting here saying, well, what about eternal security? I'm not even discussing it. The interesting thing here is that an Arminian might say, well, they've lost their salvation. The Calvinist says they never had it in the first place. Well, they differ on what's going on, but the bottom line, both of them think this guy's going to hell. So this is a very, very serious state, and you can't rely back on, I did that as a child. If the person's not following right now, it's at least a very serious state. So I go after this a couple ways, but the thing I'm most interested in, stirring those embers,